All right, guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Downbeat Beatdown Hour presented by your boys at BCP Plus, right here, live on the X, 88.9 FM WMCX West Long Branch, New Jersey. We got a great show for you guys today as we're coming out of a Survivor Series. I really want to know what you guys think about that. Last night's WWE Survivor Series War Games with 4 matches, 2 War Games style matches. We'll get into that in a minute. We also had Stephanie Vicaire defending her Women's World Championship against the returning Nikki Bella. And then John Cena in his second to last match defending his Intercontinental Championship against Dirty Dominic Mysterio in what many have said was the standout moment and match of the night. I am very, very interested in what you guys thought about this Survivor Series. And like I opened with, the word that comes to mind is flat. And we keep it pretty positive here, and I always look for the positive in everything. And I'll give my co-host, the Andy Smart Matt Wittes, who's not here today, he had briefly mentioned last week about maybe it's time we get away from these War Games matches and we go back to the classic Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination style matches. And I thought he had a good point, but now after watching last night, and I got to watch with Matt and the boys, and it was great to see him and have some good food and hang with everybody, but I think he's dead on. I think he's 100% right. This felt dragged out. They got rid of the shark cages at the entrance, which they used to do, which, again, I don't know how much of a difference that made. It was just something I noticed. And when the entrances came out for both the men and women, there really felt, for the most part, that there was no sense of urgency in these War Games style matches, which are supposed to be a little bit more brutal, very, very star-studded. Maybe the philosophy was, hey, we have all these huge stars, let's give them these big, long pyrotechnic entrances like normal, and no shark cages as well. So to me, I feel like it just didn't fit the setting and the pacing of everything. Not just the pacing of the matches. I think it was 5 minutes to start in the cage, and every 3 minutes, a different competitor from alternating teams would come out. So each War Games match was close to an hour, if not over an hour. Now, there were only 4 matches, so I get it. But after each match, we would have like a 4-minute commercial break or advertisement, which I understand. Then some sort of segment. And don't get me wrong, I love segments. I love nuance and Easter eggs, and I like to pay attention to what people see, and I like to see people who are not on the card, what their roles are in these backstage segments. And to me, every single match kind of, I don't want to say dragged. It's not the right word, but like these matches didn't flow. And then you have these long breaks in between, whether it's just the commercials, which is normal, these segments, and then the video package leading up to the match. It really stretched everything out. I think it was a 3-hour, 15-minute show, PLE, whatever it was. And to me, I don't think it served primarily what the goals may have been. We saw the Women's War Games match, which I opened the show, which I thought was the better of the two. And there were some really great spots, but again, just the flow of the match really, it wasn't there. We had talked about this previously, like these matches with all these stars and, hesitant partners and baby faces versus heels. We thought the stories in both War Games matches would be, not that it had to be, but it would be more about the tension between teammates or even the opponents or moments or facials. And I think Becky Lynch out of everyone did a great job with the emotion and the facials. So shout out to Becky Lynch, who I've done a complete 180 on. We've always been such a huge pro Becky show from the start, wherever we were. And I was very critical of this very heel 101 character she's been playing, and it's served so many masters. It's served so many purposes now. What she was with the Vision, what she did with Lyra Valkyria, I could go on and on. What she's doing, even with Jessica Carr, the referee right now, there's something going on there. You can see the seeds being planted with that, but she's doing some great work, and I think she added a lot of the storytelling in this. Shout out to Io Sky, who did the trash can spot off the top of the cage, if you guys remember. I think she usually does a crossbody. I think in the past she had used like a chain to bring it up or a rope. So I liked how Rhea Ripley, with a cool mask, I like mask Rhea Ripley, lifting, I think it was AJ Lee with the trash can to hand it to Io. And Io does a swanton senton off the top with the trash can over her head, which is insane. I always get so nervous. And just to change it up and make it special, we knew it was coming. It was a lot of cool spots, but again, it didn't have like the feel that I felt that the promos and the build had. And when this match actually happened, like, yeah, there was a level of violence, is the word, level of aggression in this match that there should have been. And like people like Lash Legend, for instance, I had said, I do see the heel team losing here for a number of reasons. Lash is fairly new, and Lash is fantastic. Congrats on your engagement to the tricky one, Trick Williams. That's so amazing. I'm so happy for them. But they basically benched Lash, I felt. She got the mist accidentally from Asuka and, was blinded by the mist, and that kind of benched her real quick. So I wasn't thrilled about that. And the good guys, the baby faces, they hit their spots. Some, stereotype tandem moves, which are fun. But it just, man, it was tough. It was, the women's match was the better of the two, and I don't want to make the comparisons, but I think a lot of people, are making that comparison to AEW, and I never do this. Two completely different products, I wouldn't say different demographics in some ways, but I hate doing the A-B with them, but I think coming out of their blood and guts pay-per-view, which they call it, which they always do, which a lot of people liked and was a lot more, violent and over the top. I just feel people wanted more from these War Games match. And again, different product, different demographics at times. So I get it. In fact, they might have leaned into not doing that by design. You have, kids and family audiences, which I get. And WWE kind of leans more towards the storytelling and the moments as opposed to the moves. And I hate to generalize, but you still had your spots. I just felt like the moments weren't as big and the emotion wasn't as big as I thought. You have all this star power. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, too many, I don't want to say egos, but too many big-time stars, We had the big, entrances for last. We could talk about that with the men's War Game, I felt. Man, that men's War Games match was not great. Early on, we had Punk start out the match, and, he would have to be in there for a long time. And Punk's, really, he's been doing a lot better, but he's really had to go through this whole match with everybody. That's a long time for a guy like Punk to be in this match. And a lot of older guys in this match overall, not just Punk. And then early on, it was cool to see Cody and Punk kind of have that tandem offense. I think they did like the heart attack and some throwback Legion of Doom moves. And Braun Breaker noticeably takes that bad bump and seemingly lands right on his head. The officials you could see were in the corner kind of checking on him, and I was concerned about him. Sure enough, Braun goes on to put on a clinic in that match and come out strong after the interference from whoever this, the internet wrestling community is talking about, this masked attacker who comes in. Was it Seth Rollins? Because they did the curb stomp, the person dressing completely black with the black mask. A lot of people are saying it's Austin Theory. That's their theory, if you will. People are even saying Sami Zayn. That would be an interesting wrinkle, I think, because Sami was trying to get recruited by the Vision was trying to recruit Sami at one point in time, so that would be interesting. Based on the body type, you can make some assumptions. Some people even said Jericho. I think the way how nimble and quick this person was, scaling the cage and getting in there in a beautiful curb stomp, I'm going to say this is a younger guy. No disrespect to anybody. I can make a strong case for it being Austin Theory. And there's, conflicting reports, and if you guys want to get into the dirt sheets and all that, but, the Vision, they got to be careful with it. And I said this was a must-win for the Vision team, especially with Brock Lesnar on their team. Otherwise, it's just dead on impact. They're not going to be anything, and I think this is an important win for them, important win for Braun Breaker, but this match, it wasn't a great War Games match, and it pains me to say that, and I thought it was going to be really, really good, but there were some bright spots. There were definitely some bright spots in this match, and I don't want to overlook those. And it was great to see all that star power. I did love Jimmy and Jay working together, the 1D, and then the run it back was super fun for the fans. That's what it's all about. I just wanted, I guess, less spots, and it's a spot kind of match, don't get me wrong, but more emotion, more moments. We saw some friction moments, I think, early on, like Cody nicked Punk or other way around. Again, a little standoff between Punk and Roman again, which we're seeing a lot of. And then at the end, Roman kind of saying, "Hey, like I think this is the last time we team together," which I get. It just, I wanted a little bit more. There was a lot of meat left on the bone with this, and very curious what you guys think. But I am very, very excited to share with you guys an interview I was very, very lucky to do yesterday afternoon. Mike Santana, former TNA World Champion, was doing a signing at the Wrestling Collector here in New Jersey. So I took the drive up, and I got a few minutes to talk with the former TNA World Champion Mike Santana, and he had a lot to say about overcoming addiction and loss and winning that championship, but then losing it after being attacked by half the NXT roster, Frankie Kazarian, Nick Nemeth at one point, and just the odds stacked against him, losing that title in, I believe, around 30 days or less, which very short title reign. You know, I thought I'd be interviewing him with the TNA World Championship. Not the case, but I'm very excited to share this interview with you. A very personal interview with former TNA World Champion and an inspiration, Mr. Mike Santana, here on the X 88.9 FM, WMCX, West Long Branch, New Jersey. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we here live at the Wrestling Collector shameless promo in Stockholm, New Jersey, with the realest, the illest, born nasty, former TNA World Champ. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
A super dad, an inspiration, the one and only Mr. Mike Santana. How are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for a few minutes. This is an honor. First of all, let's talk about the Wrestling Collector. You got to meet some of the fans. You've inspired a lot of people. What has this interaction's been like for you today so far?
Today has been great, man. Like, I just got in this morning from Cleveland. I did a show in Cleveland, yeah. No sleep. And flew here and landed in LaGuardia, drove here, and here we are. So,
that's the life, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. I take it as it comes, and it's been a wild ride, to say the least. It's definitely been a wild ride, and I'm just blessed and thankful for everything that I'm able to do and continue doing, and let's keep it going.
I love it, man, and tons of respect for you for going on this roller coaster and doing what you do for the fans, but I do want to talk about that roller coaster, and I want to rewind to Bound for Glory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Hardys and Dudleys had that great emotional match.
Yeah.
I got choked up a little bit, but the moment for me, almost bawling, tearing up, man, you win that world championship, and I knew what it meant to you, and I know the story was about Trick and NXT and getting that title back, but I think the real story was you overcoming loss, addiction, and winning that title for your daughter.
Yeah.
You laid that title at her feet. What did that mean to you? Because that was a beautiful moment.
Man, like you said, there was a lot behind that moment. Of course, like you said, the Trick and the NXT stuff, the personal stuff with myself, but also a lot of it too was proving to a lot of people that said I couldn't do it, you know, and I remember when the 3 happened, I laid on my back and I covered my eyes, and I remember just thinking, like, did it, you know, and just to think of where I was in my life just a couple years before that. I said it before, I was staring out the window of a rehab center, you know, and to think that I went from not knowing whether I was going to survive life to, you know, being in the main event in one of the biggest shows in TNA history, winning the world title, and being able to present it to my daughter. I mean, like, what better story can be written, you know? And but yeah, man, like, the moment was truly special, and it meant a lot, and it's something that's going to be with me forever for sure. And the fact that my daughter got to see me at rock bottom and see the work that I put in to get to that moment, that is everything, because that is like never given, always earned, and she saw me earn it every single day, and she sees me earn it every single day. So, yeah.
I see her on the road with you at ACW.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That's what it's all about. It's the most important thing. But let's talk about that moment when you walked back through the curtain after you win the title. I've seen some of the pictures, man. What was that moment like for you?
That was insane. So I didn't expect any of that. So a little spoiler. So they filmed. TNA does Emergence, right?
Yep.
That documentary series that they do. So they filmed me from Slammiversary all the way to Bound for Glory, and that's going to be coming out soon. And so it's 2 parts.
Okay.
So it's going to be 2 parts. But in the second one, the camera, I didn't know the camera was following me as I was walking to the back, and the camera caught me, and I remember walking to the back and turning that curtain, and just emotion, because I didn't expect to walk into all these people like back there, and and also I'm not the type of person that likes that like attention, like under the mic, it's so weird because I perform right I perform in front of thousands of people, but I'm just like but special moment, and it just showed, I guess, the respect that the locker room has for me, and the appreciation of the work that I've put in, and that I'm a representative of TNA, and I consider myself a homegrown guy. I started there in 2017, and TNA was the place that put me on the map on a grand scale. So the fact that I was able to come back and do what I've been doing, and it was a special thing. And that locker room is unlike any other, man. I always say it, like, the camaraderie and just how everyone is there to uplift each other and elevate each other, and it's a beautiful thing. And I feel like every locker room should learn from that.
I love that. And the shameless promo, I mentioned my girlfriend wrestles. She's got to wrestle with you guys a few times. Has mentioned the locker room being so supportive of her, even if it's a squash match, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she wanted to be here today because 10 years sober of opiates and drugs.
Oh, wow.
She wanted to talk to you. She's got a booking today, man. But you have influenced so many people, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
As you say, you welcome challenges, you welcome speed bumps. They fire you up.
Yeah.
This has, to me, been a tough pill to swallow. You don't have the championship. I imagined you sitting here with the championship. For whatever reason, man, it's a roller coaster. There were reports coming out, hey, I think Mike Johnson had reported Santana's not here at call time, whatever it is. That's none of my business. I'll be respectful of the curtain. But Vicky had said to me, she's like, oh, I hope he's okay. She's had similar being down is what I'm going towards. You cut that amazing promo. In my book, promo of the year, seemed very real. I do want to be respectful of the curtain, man, but just tell us where you were, because you said you went to a meeting mentally, physically, emotionally at that point.
It was tough. I said it in the promo. I was like, man, I 30 days ago, I was at the highest point of my career and in my life, aside from my daughter being born. And then 30 days later, it was all swipe for me, right? But if there's one thing that I've learned about myself is that, like, I thrive in those trenches, man. Like, I've prided myself off of, like, David Goggins has this he used to say this thing where it's like, yo, sometimes he builds himself up to the highest point that he can, and then he'll purposely knock himself down because it's in that grind where character is built, where, real strength is built. And I feel like that, and in pro wrestling, it's up and down, right? I was just saying this earlier. You got to love it when it's good, and you got to love it when it's bad, right? And that's what separates the good from the greats, And I love this, and I'm gonna continue loving it. And this is how I feed my daughter, and this is how I'm able to give her an amazing life. And and there's gonna be times where things are gonna happen, and I'm not gonna like it. It is what it is, right? But thankfully, like going back to what you were saying, thankfully I'm at a point in my life where I have learned a set of tools to help me maneuver through the good times and the bad, and that night was one of those moments where I had to take to myself and get myself in check and make sure that I put those tools to work, and thankfully I did, because if there's one thing that I've realized, sobriety has given me more than active addiction ever will. And I have a very healthy fear of that person I was, because I know where that person is leading me, and it is nowhere nice, So yeah, man, I just keep going a day at a time.
I was going to say, one day at a time, and congrats on over 1,000 days.
Over 1,000 days, yeah.
What a great role model for your daughter to what you've accomplished, man. And you're going to get some retribution, it looks like. But you will be taking on, I think, Robert Stone is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your hands on them. Mm-hmm. Let's just say it took half the NXT roster to stop this guy. Say. And then Charlie Dempsey as well.
Yeah.
Tell us your mindset going into those battles.
I gotta get my licks back, man. But like it's been a wild ride working with NXT and doing the whole back and forth thing, right? It's I feel like both sides have learned and have benefited from the partnership, and I think we could continue seeing some stuff like this, man. But they definitely got one coming. I'm coming with with the strongest fight that I've ever brought. So I'm excited, and I hope they're ready.
I love it. I tweeted a picture of you, Trick, and Joe Henry when the Time Is Now tournament was announced. Mm-hmm. We've also seen former TNA champions in the Royal Rumble. Now, I know you have your eye on the target, eye on the prize. Are these things that are in the back of your mind, though, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, you know how wrestling is, right? Things happen so quick. So I always say just stay ready for whatever's to come. You know what I mean? And I'm in a mindset of like whatever that day is going to bring, I embrace it and I keep it going,
Fair enough. It's something I've been wanting to ask you, whatever you're comfortable with sharing. When I talked to Joe Henry, you guys kind of both had momentum at the same time. He obviously became TNA champion. We saw what he did at WrestleMania and Royal Rumble. I had asked him about your momentum at the time, and he shut it down pretty quick, respectfully. It was like, hey, I'm the guy for TNA right now. This title belongs on my shoulder. And I get it. Everyone wants the prize. What was the relationship like with Joe Henry when you guys both had that momentum? Because it seemed respectful, but you seemed to shut it down real quick. Yeah,
I mean, the thing with Joe, I think Joe knows who I am and where I come from and what I represent. And I think, I have a lot of respect for Joe and what he's done and what he's been able to accomplish on his own. But I'm just a totally different beast from Joe.
Yes.
There's no comparison between me and him. Again, he's grinded his way and he's done his thing, but I feel like my journey getting to where I'm at is totally different. There's definitely a respect there, but there was definitely competition as well. And I embrace competition. Because at the end of the day, we're competing for a spot or whatever. I ain't competing with nobody other than myself, and that's just the way it is. And for him, look where he's at and look where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I said earlier, it wasn't just about winning that title, though. All the things you have overcome to get there and laying that title at your daughter's feet. To me, that was the fans can endear themselves to you because they can relate to you, man. And that's amazing.
I think for me, I always said I'm in this business and I'm just me, right? And it's take it or leave it. Authenticity is everything for me. And Bret Hart was my guy. He's always been my guy. And the fact that I get to, he's been my biggest influence, right? Bret was who he was. He represented his people. He represented where he came from, his family. And I just try to emulate that same thing, with my own little flair. So.
Yeah, Bret keeps it real for sure.
Oh, I love it. First of all, this guy is crazy. Yeah. But listen, he knows what he's doing. He's the biggest worker of all time. Yeah, exactly. He knows what he's doing.
And I got to ask you this, man. I see you continue to give back I see you grinding on the indies. Shameless promo, you're talking to our good friend Ray Calitri, the international shining star, and I see you giving him advice, man. I see you competing on ACW, working with guys like Dante Casanova. What's kind of your mindset? Because you're one of the top guys in the world in TNA, and you're still giving back to the independents. What's the philosophy there?
So I was always taught by guys who I came up under to always pay it forward, and now on the indies there aren't a lot of veterans like with the experience that I have and have done the things that I have, and if I have the opportunity to do these shows and work with younger guys and offer a bit of advice that can help them on their journey, by all means, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I always say I want there to be a business after I'm gone. That's how much I love this. So if there's any way that I could help anybody progress. And so, like, the thing with me is I'm never going to, all right, so nothing was ever given to me. I busted my ass for everything that I have today. People just pointed me in the right directions. Nobody ever said, oh, do him a favor or do this or do that. Like, they just pointed me in the direction and I put in the work, right? So that's what I try to just do, like offer advice, point them in a direction, and now it's up to you. You got to put in that work yourself, right? And, and I love that I've been able to be on the indies and work with – there's a lot of young talent out there that are killing it, man. And I saw something online the other day that people were like, oh, the indies are dead. I don't know what indies y'all talking about, but I'm on the indies weekly.
Yes.
It's alive and well, and there's a lot of talent out there. And I think in the next couple of years, like, there's going to be another resurgence and another, like, crop of indie guys that are going to come up and just take over. So I'm excited. And to be a part of that at the ground level and just watch all these guys grow, and it's been awesome, man.
I love it. Two more, if I may. All respect for your time. Thank you, Mike, for doing this, man. You had great matches with Brian Myers, Dante Casanova at ACW, and you're having these matches like days before the biggest matches of your career. So I respect that. I'm like, careful standing.
I am ridiculous. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I do this to myself, but
I respect the heck out of it. But ACW, you have now challenged the new ACW world champion in Matt Cardona, someone you know very well. Your thoughts going into that one?
He's never beat me. Boom.
Oh, boom. Done.
That's all I got to say about that. Matt, you've never beat me. So good luck. And, good luck.
Hashtag NU. Thanks for doing this, man. An honor to talk to you today. We heard you talking to Ray Calitri throughout the day. I've asked your advice in the past. You say you got to want it. Just anything else you can give. And you've given a lot to the independents, but to the people who are grinding right now, they're in a different place, a different state every weekend, every month. Sometimes they're a heel there. Sometimes they're a face here. Just any tidbit you got for the indie wrestlers.
That is key. You want your name to pop up everywhere. When guys, I grew up in the magazine era, right? So I remember going all the way to the back of the magazines and seeing all the independent lists and seeing all these guys' names, right? And I remember, they'd be, not to single anyone out, but there'll be like one name and you'll see them every company, everywhere. That's key. Like that was the key to my success when I was coming up, was that, like, you got to get out of your bubble. You got to get out of your zone. That's like, because you'll die there, Going all the way back to the territory era, guys moved around. This is a nomadic business, So the more you move around, the more you get. We're all starving artists. We all got to get out there. We all got to get our names up. But that's the key is traveling. Put in the miles. There's no other way. You have to get in that car. You have to put in the miles. You have to want it. You have to study. You have to make sure that every match that you have is different from the last. And give everything. I am living proof that when you give everything, it'll give back. I promise you. And there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but you got to love it when it's up and you got to love it when it's down. And there's going to be times where you got to make sacrifices. But I always say This was a quote that was told to me back in the day. God never gives you anything great unless he takes something away. And that's just sacrifices, man. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I get to have an amazing career, but don't think for 1 second that it hasn't taken stuff from me. You know what I mean? But do what you got to do. Either you want it or you don't want it.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for a few minutes of your time. And honor one of the most inspirational professional wrestlers on the planet. He's going to beat up some NXT guys, future ACW champ, future TNA world champ. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Guys,
appreciate it, Rob.
All right, guys, that was former TNA world champion and one of the most inspirational pro wrestlers on the planet right now. What a story, Mr. Mike Santana. So thank you, Mike, Mr. Santana, for doing that interview. Definitely someone I wanted to talk to again this year. So happy to sit down with him. A great gentleman, inspirational person just to chat to. And a great dad. His daughter was there, and I think he was having a great holiday weekend with his daughter, man. So it's just great to see. You know, his story was essentially, I think it was like 2 Christmases ago, he was battling addiction and alcoholism, and his daughter's Christmas list essentially said, I want daddy to stop. And he turned his life around, went into a 30-day intense rehab, and became the TNA world champion. What an inspiring story. And now he's hitting, you know, as we all do on that roller coaster, hitting some speed bumps, and he's doing everything he can to get back to the top of that mountain. And he's going to go through some NXT stars to do that. So I'm excited to see his journey. What an inspiration. One of the best pro wrestlers on the planet right now, Mike Santana from TNA. So thank you, Mr. Santana. Guys, like I said when we started the Downbeat Beatdown Hour here on the X88.9 FM, I wanted to talk to independent musicians, independent pro wrestlers, all the way to the WWE, and today we got to talk to feature a TNA superstar here on the X. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these interviews. We'll keep them coming. We'll do our best. We'll work hard. I'm excited to announce we'll hopefully be having a former Super Bowl winning Giant on the show down the line. So I'm very excited to share that with you guys after the holidays. So I do want to pivot back to War Games Survivor Series from last night. A couple other things I wanted to touch on. I really think, and I've been very critical of it, you know, I typically keep it positive, but I felt this one fell flat. And the one big standout positive, I think a lot of people would agree, was the Dominic Mysterio John Cena match, which went pretty well, pretty much the way I had predicted. I had the match order this card perfect. I had perfect predictions going into this card. And I said John Cena was going to hot potato piggyback and lose the Intercontinental Championship back to Dominic Mysterio with the help from the Judgment Day. And we saw Raquel get involved. We saw Roxanne get involved, Finn and JD. I did not see, though, the return of Liv Morgan. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But the way this was all set up was Dom did a Hurricane Rana off the, the guardrail onto Cena, very similar to what had happened with Penta getting injured, and very, very similar, as a matter of fact. And when they did that, even when Dom was in the air, even before Cena caught him, I was like, ooh, I don't know. I had a bad feeling about it. And the way he landed, it looked terrible. Like, it really looked like he was legitimately hurt. And then you see, you know, kind of the ref get involved. And for that moment, I'm like, oh no. Like, it really does look like he got hurt. But my wheels started turning, and then I saw, like, you know, the people who have, you know, to be respectful is the curtain, like, as I like to say, but, you know, the people who come in with the medical polo shirts, you know, like I'm wearing a black polo now, but this is WWE Medical. Let's just say I've known a lot of people who have worn those shirts that work on the independents. So that kind of clued me in a little bit, wised me up to, like, all right, this is an angle they're doing. And sure enough, just the delay too. Like, the ref did the kind of communication thing that's expected. No X was thrown up, and again, a shout out Matt again. You know, the X thing where you throw up the X is such a public and known thing now that, like, I feel like you shouldn't do any sort of, and forgive the terminology, work or angle with that. I feel like there's certain lines, but it's wrestling, like we say. It looks like anything goes. But it misled me for a second on the initial impact. It just looked bad. Even when they replayed it and Wade Barrett was like, that was eerily similar to Penta's injury. It looked like he hit his shoulder or head. It really looked like his shoulder, very similar to what happened to Penta. And sure enough, they take advantage of the situation. Roxanne hits the pop rocks on John Cena. Raquel Rodriguez hits her slam on John Cena, sets him up for the 619. Dominic gets up like no problem, plays possum, gets up, and then the ref doesn't count, which I did like. A little thing where the ref was like, no, like, you were just faking me out all this time. I'm not going to count on this one. And Dom kind of is like, oh no, what else do I do? I thought that was good. Just something different from the refs. It gives the refs a little something. Again, yes, the ref are always the third person in the match, but the refs are very, very important, but should be, invisible, if that makes sense. But I like the way they're using them here, where it's not just like they're robots, or dumb, it's, the ref bump. I could do a whole thing about that, but it's just wrestling 101, things of old. It's kind of that suspension of disbelief, this, on a business that's based on smoke and mirrors, and I say that respectfully. So then we have the return of Liv Morgan. She comes out wearing like gear that is, reminiscent of Dom and her. And I think it had the mask that Dom was wearing, which I think was his uncle's mask, not his dad's mask. Ray being the greatest of all time. I digress. So she's wearing the gear, and then she kind of does like the, am I going to hit Dominic? And everyone's kind of thinking, is she going to turn on Dominic kind of thing, with no really reason or rhyme. Maybe then there's some conflicting, whoever Dom's dating or with in the Judgment Day storyline wise, maybe that's the way they went. And she kind of gives Dom like a forearm, kind of a working one, so it wasn't the best, but then in hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best on purpose, so it kind of worked. And Dom takes the hit, and then she jumps up and hugs John Cena, and they recreate the Elimination Chamber moment where she looks right into the camera and kind of like the tee-hee, ha-ha. Mind you, she's still wearing Dom's, logo and stuff like that, so again, makes sense. And she low blows John Cena, sets up another setup for Dom. So if you think about it, it took Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, returning Liv Morgan, JD McDonough, and Finn Balor. So that's 5 members of the Judgment Day. Now, Finn and JD didn't hit their finishers completely. I think Cena reversed it, but still they got some, work in. And then Dominic Mysterio, the challenger, 6 people in the Judgment Day to stop John Cena. So, again, no one came out to help John Cena. I was kind of hoping, someone would come out. But it took 6 people to stop John Cena, so I feel that doesn't make him look weak heading into his final match against who I think might be Gunther winning this tournament, which I think would be appropriate and great. I sat here in this chair on this radio station for months saying it should have been Dom, and we've done 2 matches with Dom so far, so I can't complain. It's been great. He's making Dom look like $1 million, and Dom's doing a great job with the facials and being a heel, but also the fans love him, but also like when he looks scared, like when the ref didn't count or when he had that promo with his dad, like he instantly turns into that little boy, that baby face that we've seen on WWE television. So he's like that smarky, or snarky, I should say, heel with the chewing the gum and the big dirty hair and all those, heel tactics that he does. And then he has like those watery eyes at times. So it shows that range. And I think that's why people are like emotionally invested in this like troublemaking kid, and I think that's great. And I think Cena sees that. So what they're doing with Dom and have done with Dom has been fantastic. He's the Intercontinental Champion again, which I did pick, but Cena's also putting other people over. Like he's let 3 of the women here, not to say he shouldn't, but typically you don't see the women in the men's matches. WWE kind of keeps the physical stuff between the men and the women very, very limited, the intergender stuff, if you will. And sure enough, he took finishers from 1 to, essentially 3 women. I think Liv gave him the low blow, and he took finishers from them too. I think Cena's just evolving himself with and getting time in and getting to work with these up-and-comers, this next generation. He truly is giving back, and that's why you saw 6 people interact with John Cena in this match. 7 if you count the official, so it's those little things, and I know people have been very critical of Cena's final run here. I think there's been a brilliance to it. I think there's been a cleverness to it. I think there's been a lot of giving back. And we're not supposed to see it all. We're not supposed to understand it all. But I think that's what he's doing. And there was a lot of good in that match. And there was a lot that, again, emotion, nuance, Easter eggs, storytelling. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And I think there was so much room for that in these War Games matches that there wasn't really a lot of. So I wanted more there. But shout out to Dom and Cena as John Cena heads to his last match coming up, his last match ever, as we say farewell to John Cena in ring action. I can't believe the last time is now. And then lastly, again, I've been very critical of this. We kind of signed out with this last week here on the X. Stephanie Vicaire defending her Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella. Nikki turned heel in recent weeks. She was that convenient character. I've said it a million times. We knew she was going to turn heel. Again, not being a smarty pants, not being a know-it-all. You saw it coming a mile away. But I don't think Nikki was the right opponent here for Stephanie Vicaire. I was not thrilled about this match happening. I know some people thought it was all right. I didn't love this match. I wanted to. It was fine. But I wanted to see Stephanie Vicaire put on a clinic with maybe a Lash Legend or maybe another up-and-comer, or maybe just we have so many strong women coming out of NXT that are on the main roster. We have so many, maybe even Julia again. How much has Julia cooled off? Just someone that, and I know Julia's on the other show, someone on the Raw roster that she could just be running through these upper echelon challengers. And I think Vicaire has gotten that jetpack. We've seen it on NXT. We've seen it on the indies. We've seen it in other promotions, in AEW, where she's had some great matches. But to the main roster fans, the main roster WWE fans, they don't know Steph like that. They're starting to. She won the Evolution Battle Royale. She got the World Championship right away. She's had great matches with Io Sky. But there's so much you can do. I think Bill Bodkin, who was on the show last week here on the X 88.9 FM, said, why not put Stephanie Vicaire in that War Games match? Why isn't she in that match? I just think there were so many different ways you could have gone here. Again, the match was fine. They did a great job. I just want to see Stephanie work with somebody else. No disrespect to Nikki Bella or what she's been through or what she's doing now. She looks fantastic. She's embracing the heel thing. I'm not sure where you go with her from here, but I'll be open-minded. I don't want Stephanie Vicaire to cool off because of this. I think she's one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. I think she could have a long, powerful Asuka NXT type run if she holds on to this title and goes through some great upper echelon caliber of opponents. So I'll wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for listening to our Downbeat Beatdown Hour presented by your BCP Plus boys here on the X 88.9 FM, WMCX, West Long Branch, New Jersey, where we combine the worlds of the local music scene for the Downbeat Beatdown and, of course, pro wrestling from the indies all the way to the world of WWE. I really hope you guys enjoyed our interview last week with Natty Neidhart at WWE's Natalia, and today, former TNA World Champion, TNA Superstar Mike Santana. What an interview that was. So, guys, we thank you so much for tuning in. We hope everyone enjoys football and enjoys their Sunday and this holiday weekend before you go back to work. Guys, if you're watching football, set those lineups. You're welcome. Don't forget to set those lineups. And guys, like we always say here on the X, everyone stay safe, stay positive, and take care of each other. We out, guys. Peace.